Okay, I show 12 o'clock here in Chicago. This is a good time to get started. My name is Mark Werwath. I'm the director of the MEM program. I know many of you have a lot of questions. This presentation has been designed to help answer most of your questions, if not nearly all of them. So all I can ask is that you be patient as we go through the presentation. If you find your question is not answered, we have an open chat room people can use. We do have people monitoring the chat room, and I'll introduce them a little bit later in the presentation. Okay, the agenda for today, we'll go through some introductions. We'll talk about why anyone or why you should pursue an MEM degree, and why in particular an MEM at Northwestern is distinctive from other MEM programs across the country. We will go through the curriculum. We'll talk about what the Northwestern MEM curriculum looks like. We'll talk about the student experience. We'll talk about career services. I know many of you are interested in what career services Northwestern can provide and what MEM provides. We'll also talk about the admission requirements, and then we'll have a little bit of time for some Q&A at the end. We will finish certainly in less than an hour. This session is being recorded, so that people should be aware of that. We also turn on the transcription services. I know some people requested that. We have a large number of folks on this session right now. So we've muted all of you so you can stay focused on what I'm saying and what's in front of you on your screen. The staff for MEM starts with Abby Shea. Abby is a very seasoned associate director. She's our senior associate director for all of the OPE, which stands for Office of Professional Education, all of the portfolio programs, of which we have, I believe, 10 or 11. She's got 9 years of program management experience as a professional program manager. She's oversees program admissions, student services, curriculum planning, et cetera, et cetera. So she does a lot of support for not just MEM, but all of the OPE programs. Mandy Hatfield is our MEM director, or associate director, I should say. She's got several years of professional program management experience. She also oversees program admission processes, student services, curriculum planning, and change. So once admitted and once you're in the program, Mandy will probably be your principal point of contact beyond myself and our program assistants. So here are the program assistants, the PAs, as we call them, both Jenny and Miriam. They do a lot of the logistics, if you will, supporting the program and the students in the program. Registration processes, collecting the required documents from the students, transcripts, et cetera. Graduation communication, financial reimbursements, career and course advising, course scheduling, leading the admissions process, student programming, as well as guiding students to find answers to all sorts of questions. So these are the folks that will be supporting you during your career inside of Northwestern MEM. So my background, I've got 30 years of experience in engineering. I am an MEM alum from the late 80s. So I took this program back in the day. You could argue that it's, first of all, this has been around for more than 46 years. This program is one of the earliest programs in the nation in Masters of Engineering Management, and certainly the first one of its type here at the McCormick School of Engineering. My career was mostly focused at Motorola, initially in factory automation, process streamlining, optimization, robotics, and classic industrial engineering. I later went into program management. I built program management offices over my career, probably 4 or 5 times. So program management, project management, new product development, software, hardware, and systems. So I did all of the above in various industries, including Northrop Grumman, which was an aerospace company, Motorola, as I mentioned, and as well as WMS Gaming, as well as some consulting in the pharmaceutical industry. So I've had a broad range of industry exposure. I bring that to the students every day, but my main responsibilities now are really to accept only the best students. So if you're wondering about selectivity, we on average are somewhere between 1 in 4 and 1 in 5. So somewhere between a 20 and 25% acceptance rate or selectivity, which puts us up there with some of the best MBA programs in the country. I have to keep the curriculum both current and relevant for students. My job is to network students to the community of seasoned professionals. I'm also here to stretch students beyond their comfort zone, as well as develop technology and engineering leaders. So I would say in a nutshell, my job is to help form you as an engineer today into an engineering leader and a business leader of the future. So who do we target? Who is our target student or target customer, if you will? Mid-level experience practicing STEM professionals. So those who are intending to or are ready to manage people, projects, new innovations, or businesses. Those who want a systems perspective, those who want to apply engineering concepts and analytical tools to help solve business and engineering problems, those who strive to be a leader in the C-suite of a technology-oriented enterprise. Engineers who want to start a technically oriented enterprise, otherwise known as entrepreneurs, or who want to innovate inside their own company, what are sometimes known as intrapreneurs, right? So these are folks that, frankly, could benefit from an MBA, but we feel like our program could probably and definitely benefit you more in terms of being more focused. As a STEM professional, we already know what your background is, what your capabilities are mathematically. We're building on that. We're expanding on that, and we're trying to create or build in you that T-shaped engineer, which we'll talk about a little bit later. As a profession, engineering management is ranked very high in terms of both highest paying profession and highest desirability. DOL, US DOL, Department of Labor, ranks this as the fourth highest profession if medical professions are excluded from the list. So we're right in there with, basically computer and information systems managers and architectural and engineering managers. BLS basically is projecting a 4% growth compounded annually from 2020 to 2030 in the profession, with about 147,000 engineering management jobs in the US alone within the decade. So within those 10 years, 147,000 people need to be hired into or promoted into engineering management jobs. Some key differentiators between us and an MBA. We recognize that an MBA is ubiquitous. There's MBAs all over the world. There's MBA programs all over the world. We've counted thousands and thousands of them. However, we focus on students that want to leverage their technical background. They think of themselves as engineers and they want to continue in STEM. We are here to broaden their horizons because STEM professionals tend to be very narrow, right? So that we give you a broad base of business and management expertise and understanding, creating, if you will, the T-shaped engineer, the broad understanding as well as that deep vertical expertise in at least one area, which you bring as with your undergrad degree. We are more technology focused, so the curriculum is more aligned with today's business needs that combine technology and business skills and acumen. Courses that are offered by world-class engineering school faculty, as well as practitioners that are world-class technology-oriented practitioners. The average, I would say, experience level in our faculty is somewhere around 20 years, and the experience level among the students is between 6 and 7 years. It's a faster completion rate. 20 plus MBA courses versus say 12 MEM courses, and we're on the quarter system. So we have 3 quarters in a given school year. We average about 4 courses per student per quarter. So many students are able to finish this program in 1 year, in 1 academic year, starting in the fall, entering or exiting by spring, the end of spring. So that would take you September through May, right? Can it be done? Yes. Is it done normally? No, actually, most full-time students will take that summer after their spring quarter and take an internship, come back in the fall and finish up 1 or 2 classes. So you might finish anywhere from say 9 to 11 classes in the first 3 quarters and then finish up the last couple of classes in the fall of the following school year. There are basically 186,000 average MBA graduates per year, and that's what we counted. If you think about MEM graduates across all schools that offer the degree, it's about 1,800. So we're talking about 2 orders of magnitude difference in just raw numbers, right? In 2018, more of the top performing 100 global CEOs have engineering degrees than have MBAs. So having that engineering foundation will help you and is shown to help many of today's leading edge global CEOs. So you're on the right track. You've gotten the right background and skills. we're here to help you create that T-shape that we talked about, but also help you become more competitive in the marketplace. As you know, it's getting very competitive out there. So why at Northwestern? We pursue whole brain education, which was both left brain, right brain. So it's not just the analytic skills, but the soft skills that are needed to succeed. Every organization is filled with people. It's also got advisory boards. It's got customers. It's got suppliers. So this understanding the analytics is very important. Also understanding how to deal with and negotiate with people on a day-to-day basis is equally important. We combine engineering, technology, and business housed within the industrial engineering department. I'm sure some of you have an IE background, so you'll know what I'm talking about here. Mathematically, it's known as operations research. The idea of optimizing every situation basically points our engineers, IEs, in the direction of re-engineering, optimizing, perfecting, and having a more of an operations focus. We interact with other great resources here at Northwestern, including Kellogg, the Farley School or the Farley Center for Entrepreneurship, other professional masters, of which there's at least 9 or 10 others, and the Garage, which is a entrepreneurial incubator specifically designed for students, both grad and undergrad. We have competitions, we have industry night, we have networking events, we have a myriad of ways to plug you into the various hiring opportunities, the various opportunities you have to showcase your skills in front of a large audience. Our population is roughly 2/3 part-time, 1/3 full-time. I think that's shifting a little bit more full-time these days. And we are one of the top tier MEM programs. We're located in a major metro. We're 11 miles from the center of the city of Chicago. Literally, it's a 30-40 minute trip to get downtown. Many of our students go downtown for projects, for internships, for interviews, and not just sightseeing, but also to understand the technology opportunities available. We have at least a half a dozen incubators that our students plug into very quickly. I mentioned the IEMS, Industrial Engineering and Management Sciences. The department is very strong. It's ranked either number 3 or number 4, depending on how you look at it. US News, I think, ranked us number 4 back in 2020. The IEMS department has a very strong bachelor's program with over 100 graduates every year, PhD program with placements in the top tier universities. So our graduates, our PhD alum, go on to places like Cornell and MIT and Stanford. So they get placed in some of the best schools in the country and the world. MEM, like I said, one of the original professional master's programs, 46 years old. We have excellent placements. Our students are in leadership positions, as you'll see in a few moments, all over the world as well. MSIA, very specialized, data science oriented, full-time program during the day. It's a cohort based, so they have a very prescribed curriculum. MEM is very flexible. Our courses are offered at night. Full-time students appreciate that because it frees them up during the day for interviews, for internships, and for fellowships and things they can do that are activities that enhance their resume throughout the day. So very different programs, MEM, MSIA. If you want to be a data scientist, I would say go to MSIA. If you want to manage data scientists, I would say come to MEM. All right, what does the curriculum look like? We have 12 courses, right? 7 are core, 2 are advanced engineering methods, and 3 are electives. We have in our core curriculum, marketing, finance, accounting, leadership, and engineering management. What do we mean by engineering management? In our program, engineering management as a course is a simulation. We simulate having you run a business working in teams. And in those teams, you are making decisions every week that represents a year of operation. So you're running a business in a simulated world. For those who know about these simulations, it's the Strat Sim environment. And in Strat Sim, you're making decisions that will affect the outcome of your business in competition with all the other businesses in the class competing in that same environment, okay? Our classes are generally held, I would say, Monday through Thursday, 6:30 to 9:30. But we also have occasional Friday and Saturday morning classes, in particular, simply because we have so many students and so many offerings, we can't schedule them all on just a 4-day-a-week basis. fundamentally, our curriculum is flexible, right? So those 7 core classes represent a little bit more than half of the curriculum. The other half is your choice as a student. You can choose from probably 20, 25 different courses, many of which are offered by MEM, some of which are offered by other programs such as Kellogg, LOC, Learning and Org Change, Siegel Design Institute, Farley Center for Entrepreneurship. So these are the 7 core classes, as I mentioned before. The pivotal course here, that probably the not the capstone, but really kind of the technical foundational course is Decision Tools. This is where the operations research techniques for managers, right, is taught, and it's something you exercise and you'll probably use every day in the future of your career. All these courses are tailored for engineers and STEM professionals. We take what normally would be in an MBA program, 2 or 3 accounting courses. We compress it and consolidate it into one. So you're getting managerial and financial accounting all in one course, all from one faculty member in an accelerated, condensed way that is appropriate for engineers. Same is true for finance, marketing, and leadership. Strategic management, in my mind, is more of a macroeconomics course. It's really how does the firm react to different macroeconomic circumstances and understanding the big picture of business from a stock market and equity market perspective, as well as just economic perspective. The advanced engineering methods courses are shown here. You're required to pick 2. It would make sense to pick 2 within your area of concentration. I'll share what those are in a few moments. These are the electives and where you can take them from. It's a vast range of them. Many are opting for at least one Kellogg course, usually in the area of strategy, since strategy seems to be one of Kellogg's strengths, and it's also a big interest area for MEM students. These are the areas of concentration. You have 4 to choose from, or you can choose to do none of the above and just get an MEM degree with no concentration. We've seen both. Most students, I would say, get a concentration. The most popular these days is product management, but we also have project and process management, managerial analytics, and healthcare systems. I would say managerial analytics is getting to be very popular as well. Project and process management has been historically the most popular, especially for more seasoned folks. People who have more experience tend to migrate into that area. We talked about events earlier. We have workshops such as CSPO training, which is Certified Scrum Product Owner, and that's coming up in the next few weeks. We have communications workshops. We have site visits. We also have tours, various incubators, technology parks, et cetera, that surround Chicago. This is our student body. You can see basically about a fifth of our students already have, and this was as of 2021 December, 20% already have advanced degrees. So they come to MEM with a master's, or in some cases, even an MBA. Full-time students have about 5.3 years experience, part-time about 7.6. We draw students from various backgrounds. Mechanical, electronics and electrical, and computer science are the most popular of the backgrounds. And you can see at the bottom of the chart, the various countries where our students come from Chile to China to India, Pakistan, Mexico, Kazakhstan, Saudi Arabia, as well as Georgia. This was data as of fall of 21. So this was 1 year earlier. And you can see some slight differences here. I would say basically, yeah, it's the same. It's fundamentally the same data, just in a different format, I think. This is our background in terms of companies that have sourced students from Northwestern MEM, but also who have provided students to Northwestern MEM. So we've seen from the medical industry, Medline, as well as Baxter, GE Medical, and Siemens. Those are all from the medical side. Wrigley's in the food side. They have an innovation center on the north side of Chicago, as well as Pepsi. PayPal from the fintech side. GoGo Wireless is aerospace. Abbott is also healthcare. Sergeant Lundy does a lot of consulting in the nuclear power plant design work. Motorola Electronics. We've had two divisions of Motorola as big suppliers of students, both mobility and handset divisions. I'm sorry, mobility and solutions have provided us students in the past. And of course, Kraft has a large facility here as well. So we've got some great companies, Northrop Grumman and Aerospace, that have provided us students and have also hired our students in the past. In terms of hiring outcomes, right? We had 37 graduates in 2020. Those basically 20 were from December. The rest were in summer graduates. You can see the breakdown as to the actual titles that they've had when they graduated. Everything from product manager to project manager to business analyst to supply chain manager, systems engineer, engineering manager, et cetera. So very good outcomes in 2020, very good outcomes again in 2021. We kept track of where everybody went. You can see what more than I guess average product management placements and project management placements. In my mind, growth in product officer is the same thing as a product manager. We've had some systems engineers and operations folks, but again, global supply manager, senior climate change consultant. So we have all sorts of placements in various industries and various titles. You're probably wondering why sustainability. We do have kind of a sustainability thread through a lot of the courses that we offer. So students often will pivot into energy and sustainability simply because that's what they're exposed to here on campus. In terms of salaries, 110,000 is the average for my full-time recruitment perspective, $31 per hour for internships, which is pretty typical. Everyone found a summer internship, at least over 18 and 19 that were looking for one. And then virtually in all, I'd say 90% were employed full-time after graduation. So great placement rates, various companies you can see here. Here's the part-time salary data. Part-time students work while they're in the program. So they've seen a 27% growth in salary in those 3 or 4 years that they're typically in the program. If you look at the right-hand side, the lifetime earnings for architecture and engineering professionals, if you have a master's degree, you can see at least a 500 to 700K bump in your lifetime earnings. So everyone asks, what's the ROI of your degree? Well, if you're putting 60,000 into your degree, you're getting 700,000 out. The ROI seems self-evident, but it's also this is over your lifetime. So this is something that you're going to have to ask yourself, is this how you want to invest your time, your energy, and your resources? For obviously people like me, the answer was yes, it was a great return. The various career resources we have on campus, engineering career development is McCormick based. It's focused on engineers, STEM professionals, and these are both for grad and undergrad. We have career fairs. We have different coaching workshops, different seminars, and opportunities where specific companies come in and set up a table and talk to students literally as they stand in line, talking to them about opportunities in their firm. NCA does something similar, but it's at a higher level. It's for the whole university. I would say they're more focused on consulting jobs, business and marketing jobs, not so much the engineering jobs. So depending on where you want to go, you're either going to work with NCA or ECD or possibly both. Some of the things that they do for you as a student: resume reviews, advising sessions, career fairs. They take care of all of these things on a scheduled basis. Our students just now got an email with easily a dozen or more events scheduled for the month, for the next 2 or 3 months in the winter quarter. So they're obviously busy. They have to choose where they want to spend their time, but lots of opportunities to plug in. For experienced students, our advice is typically, network. So we create networking events and opportunities. We introduce you to alumni. We plug you into the alumni network. We enroll you into the LinkedIn alumni database, where we have something like 800 or 900 alum just for MEM alone, just here at Northwestern. So between that and the MEMPC, which I'll talk about in a few moments, the consortium of MEM schools, also provides another opportunity for networking. Iqbal is one of our famous alum from the program. I would say he graduated about 20 years ago. He's got great things to say. He was a former CTO of product development for Motorola, Google, Lenovo in the mobility business. So mobility went through several transitions in about 5 years, and he was there for all of that. He was known as a very hands-on technical leader. And he was known for his technical prowess, but at the same time, they knew him to be a strong business leader as well, understanding the strategy and the business as well as the technology. So he's got great things to say. He's still out there advising us, and he's on our advisory board, and he meets with us pretty regularly. The MEMPC is a consortium of schools, some of the best schools in the country that teach the MEM program. You can see Cornell, Duke, Dartmouth, Hopkins, MIT, Purdue, Tufts, and USC. These are working together to basically share best practices with each other, marketing opportunities, and opportunities for the students to work together in projects and teams and in competitions. So we've had our students go out for competitions already this year. They've done quite well. We are considered kind of leaders within this process. And our students step up in many ways to help lead different initiatives. Okay, requirements for admission, right? We want you to have a STEM degree with a 3.0 GPA, which is 3 out of 4. So that's a B average or better. We're waiving GMAT and GRE scores at least through COVID. So through this year and through the next admission cycle, which will basically admit students for the fall of 22. Beyond that, we don't know if we're going to bring it back. It's possible we may not. We do need 3 letters of reference from senior people who know you well and can point to specific interactions and examples of how you contributed to the organization. We want at least 2 of those letters, by the way, to be from industry. We don't want 2 or 3 letters from academia. At most, we want is 1 academic letter. You need to have a strong, concise personal statement. We really want you to reflect on why MEM is important to you, why Northwestern is the right school for you, why now, why at this point in your career, what you expect to achieve, how you want this to impact your trajectory of your career. We also want to see your resume. We want to see some reasonable career progression. We are looking for about 3 years experience. We've taken people with less, but on average, we generally take people even with more. So that is one differentiator between our program and others. If you looked at that list of MEMPC schools, the only other school that wants and targets seasoned, experienced people is MIT. So the other schools generally take fresh out engineers. We do not. So if you're a fresh out engineer with 0 experience, I would probably have to point you to one of those other schools. TOEFL of greater than 100, IELTS of greater than 7, and that's an either or. You don't have to do both, but that is important because there's a lot of verbal components and case studies that are gone through in class that you need to be very, confident in the English language. If you've been schooled in English in your college, then generally TOEFL scores are not needed. The normal fee for applying is $50. It is waived for those attending this session. So please, send an email to mem@northwestern.edu to request that waiver, and we can get that to you. We do want to see your transcript, of course, from your undergrad education with what we call WES translation. So that basically interprets your transcript so that we can better understand what it means versus US standard interpretations. So that is the requirements for admission. This is a sizable little project here, so I would encourage you to get started early and make sure that all the pieces are in. We will certainly make sure all those pieces are in before we consider your application. These are the deadlines and tuition requirements. So we're looking at about $20,000 if you take 4 courses in a given quarter, which is slightly discounted compared to the normal per course load of $5,500. Most students take 4 courses if they're full-time. one or two classes if they're part-time, generally one. The first deadline for full-time students is January 15th, which is coming up in something like 7 days. So you got 7 or 8 days to get all that together for the first round. Now we have all the other rounds. The second round is 60 days later, March 15th for full-time students. And beyond that, there is a round 3, but you're going to have to get your application in probably by around May 1st to be considered for the fall of 22. Part-time students, generally we ask your submissions to be about 6 weeks or greater before the start of the quarter. So right now, that means if you wanted to start in the spring, you'd have about a couple of weeks between now and I'd say the 3rd week of January to get your application in. Otherwise, you should be targeting fall. We do have some scholarships, but they're limited. We have TA or greater roles that are also available that are paid. So either way, there is some funding, but this is not a typical PhD program where you get full funding or full scholarships. The best you can hope for is a partial scholarship to offset some of these costs. We do hope you consider Northwestern MEM. This is our email address if you need to get a hold of us. Hopefully this answered the majority of your questions. I guess I will open it up for additional questions if people have it.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
That was great. So the questions have been coming into the chat. I think, so just so that everyone knows, we do have some other staff members here. Lisa Myers actually is a former MEM alum, and she's on this call right now, and she knows so many things about the admissions process. So she'll start to answer your questions along with Jenny Grist, who is another, she's a program assistant. So other than that, Mark, I'll give you a few of the kind of more interesting questions, I guess. So one that popped up early on was, are there electives with high concentration in marketing?
Yeah, actually this year we have a marketing analytics course. So we're looking at the intersection of data science and the role of modern day marketing. I'd like to think that we take a different approach to marketing, a little bit more modern, a little bit more based on the analytics aspects of it. And we have a professor from Medill who teaches that. Beyond that, there are marketing courses offered by Kellogg and Medill, and you'd be able to take either one of those. But I think after you take marketing and you take entrepreneurship and you take the marketing analytics courses, I think you'd find that you've got a good set of skills that are probably going to take you very far in your career. If you need more than that, certainly you can take additional ones, or you might even consider, if you're that focused on marketing, to get a specialized degree in marketing, which I think Medill has some very good ones.
Great. So obviously, as we, I think Mark explained this, we really do look at sort of the overall picture of what you submit in your application. But Mark, what would you say is the parts of the application that are given like the highest weight when we look at that?
I'm not so sure there is one, because when I look at an app, I look at the whole picture, and I'm sure the whole committee does when they look at an application. First and foremost, you have to have the right background. So do you have the right background and skills? Have you applied those skills in the real world? And do you have enough, I guess, educational quality in terms of the quality of the school and the quality of your grades to succeed here at Northwestern? We want to set you up for success. We're not here to set you up to fail, right? In fact, I can't remember somebody who's actually failed out of the program, which I think tells you that we're pretty good at selecting students who are bound for success. It's not to say you will have an easy time of it, and it's not to say that it's going to be an easy program or not intellectually stimulating. You will have to put the work in, but I think it starts by putting the work into the application. So that statement of purpose, a lot of people blow it off and they say, well, I'll just put some sentences down and nobody's going to look at it. You'd be surprised how many people are going to look at that. And I'll be frank, we've rejected students or applicants simply because their statement of purpose doesn't line up with MEM. It actually lines up with an MBA or some other program somewhere. And we will say, we want the right people in this program and not people who want us for the wrong reasons, right?
That makes sense. So in terms of, we know, right, having a STEM degree is a requirement to be admitted into MEM. with sort of like GPA, can we kind of, if somebody's got below the 3.0, but they've got the rest of the things we're looking for, would we still consider that applicant?
We discuss that every year with the admissions committee, right? That's
Yeah.
a great topic philosophically, if nothing else.
Right.
The truth is, we've admitted people with slightly lower GPAs, but we always look for that X factor, that kind of, reason to admit. Either they have some excellent background or skills. Maybe they've got a really compelling reason to be here. It could be the reference letters that are just so overwhelming that we have to consider this applicant seriously. So there's a lot of reasons why, but if you're significantly below a 3.0, I guess I really can't hold out too much hope unless you have some outstanding experience or maybe a length of experience that might be worth considering. But the 3.0 is a pretty solid target.
Yeah, that sounds right. So we're getting several questions kind of around the letters of recommendation, right? So could you speak a little bit more on, maybe some leeway here if they, do you need 3 or can one professional, one academic? Can you speak to that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. 3 is like the bare minimum. We have to have those 3. We don't want any more than 1 academic letter, simply because those letters really should point to your experience in industry. And we want people who are high enough in the organization to be considered leaders. The best would be, I guess, the CEO or COO of a company. But if you have a director or senior director, that would probably be just as good. We want people who know what you've done specifically, maybe point to examples that, this project, that project, where you participated, where you helped propel them towards success, where you showed leadership, and where you showed and implemented your engineering skills. I think that's what we're looking for. And we do not want generic letters, a letter that could have been written by anyone for anyone. We want it to be very specific to you and to make sure that that person knows you well enough to write a very compelling letter, right?
Yeah, agreed. So regarding the Robert H. Rubenstein Scholarship that we offer, can you speak a little bit more of that, how somebody might get a scholarship, maybe what percentage of tuition that might cover? I know it's different with certain students, but.
So let me just say that it's generally in the first round of the full-time applications. It's generally awarded within that batch of the first rounds. Those students that show kind of exemplary, I guess, skills or experience, those that we think can contribute the best to the program. And so, there's no special application. There's no additional step you need to go through. Everything we need is in your applicant file. So assuming it's complete, assuming it's compelling, assuming it's in the top tier, you're going to be eligible. Though we have a finite number, so there's only a handful that are awarded.
Yeah.
And at best, you can expect maybe the best might be a $10,000 award, right? And we
Is average more about 5,000, would you say?
the average is probably more like 5,000.
Yeah.
So you can figure it'll take at most about 1/6. It'll absorb 1/6 of your tuition expense. But also budget, please. Budget your living expenses, transportation expenses, food. And even if, like, some folks want to take a vacation, you need to, in the winter quarter, it gets pretty cold in Chicago. They want to go someplace warm. I don't blame them, but that has to be budgeted too. So, and all of that, and relocation costs need to be budgeted. So make sure when you put your budget together that it's a comprehensive one.
And speaking on the budget too, our website under the admissions tab, it really writes out what you need to budget and gives you numbers and gives you a lot of that information. We kind of do a lot of that work for you. So I would definitely recommend taking a look at that. And just circling back to your point, Mark, you're just talking about like put the effort into the application. If you're interested in a scholarship, like really make it a great application. So,
Yep.
Mark, can you elaborate a little bit more on the sustainability courses offered by the university?
Well, we have something called ISEN, which is the Institute for Sustainability and Energy at Northwestern, ISEN. I think you can look them up at isen.northwestern.edu. They have fellowships. In fact, one of our MEM students was just awarded a fellowship. It's not well known. I think we're going to publish it pretty soon, but this student excelled, applied. They found him compelling and have awarded him a fellowship where he gets paid and he gets to work on some fascinating projects in the sustainability space. ISEN offers more than 24 courses. The ones that I'm most familiar with, frankly, are the ones I teach. I teach one called Nuvention Energy, which is looking at and exploring the intersection of entrepreneurship and sustainability. There's courses on the circular economy, life cycle analysis. There's other courses in both the business aspects of sustainability, as well as the science of sustainability and the policy. There's a lot of policy issues built into some of those courses. You're welcome to explore all of them. The ones that we're most familiar with have been pre-approved for our curriculum. Otherwise, you can submit anything else you like for us to approve and as part of your electives. Beyond that, we've got this thing called the Clean Energy Trust, which I think is a great resource for students. They offer seminars and workshops and events downtown. It's not part of the university, but it is something that we collaborate with. We send students there to compete. Some of our students have won significant prize money from those competitions. So clean energy is a hot topic in the States right now. The Biden administration has just approved something like $1 billion towards infrastructure, several billion, actually more than $1 trillion, $1 trillion towards infrastructure. And they're also looking at a Build Back Better program, which might add some more trillions of dollars. So the need has never been greater. The opportunities have never been greater.
Yeah, I agree. So I know, you've touched on this, but maybe just kind of offering a little more specifics around, the question is essentially, I want to, it says Mandy, as a data engineer, I'd like to go on and manage data scientists and data engineers in my career. Can Mark please elaborate on how MEM can help achieve this or pave the way for it? So maybe just like a couple of, maybe speak on some of our graduates who have gone on, even more recent graduates who have really stepped up their career. If you could maybe speak about that a little bit.
So when it comes to data science, we're not here to turn you into a data scientist. If you have some data science expertise, we can build on that with some data science courses such as managerial analytics, the 407 course, which is really about decision making using operations research techniques, managing projects. We have a project management course, a product management course, and courses in negotiations. So all of these are elements that will help you manage and lead data projects, data scientists, and data science organizations. Frankly, there's a big demand out there right now in the AI space, as well as the data science and analytics space. And a lot of those students take courses with us in product management and project management because they realize that being a pure scientist alone, right, is not going to get them to climb that ladder inside the organization. Somebody has to lead them, and all too often it's MEM students that do the leading. One of the examples I guess I would give, Rebecca Corzad is an MEM alum in the healthcare business over at Northwestern Medicine. And she's based out of Lake Forest Hospital, and she uses operations research, operations management, and analytics to help redesign the hospital. So how big should the ER be? How many operating rooms? How should they be scheduled? How many shifts of nurses and doctors? And how many patients can they handle, of what types? How many surgeries can they handle? Now with COVID coming in, how do they adjust with the COVID patients? Elective surgeries, non-elective surgeries? All of that stuff can be modeled, simulated, managed as an analytics problem. And it's dynamic, and it can both be very lucrative, but it can also be just something that keeps the place alive.
Yeah.
When you're inundated with all these COVID patients, how do you make sure that the doors can stay open, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. yeah, we're living through that right now. So,
Well, I mean, the flip side of that coin is it's not just the number of patients, but it's can the staff make it in, right?
right.
Are they actually healthy enough to work in that environment? And how do you model and forecast how many people are going to call in sick next week? Well, you can't predict illness, I suppose, but you can model it mathematically and you can determine, hey, I'm going to need certain contractors, certain temps. I might have to shut down certain departments and shut down certain operations simply to keep the critical operations alive, right?
Yep, that's right. So in terms of looking forward to fall 2022, Mark, we've talked about this a little bit internally. I guess two questions. What do you expect in terms of class size, maybe? And if you can't say right now, that's fine. But then what do you think ideally would be our class size for incoming class of fall 2022?
Well, the incoming cohort, I'm expecting to be somewhere between 30 and 35 students. This year we had 45 because we had an influx of deferrals that we probably will not have next year, simply because of the way COVID worked. We had some deferred students from the prior year. So between 30 and 35 is what you can expect the average class size to be. You're free to compare that with other schools and other, especially MBA programs that may have 60, 70, or 80 students in a class. We tend to have smaller classes, and we kind of like it that way, both from a educational, pedagogical perspective, but also the student experience. Students like to have better access to their faculty, right?
I agree. That's great. I think, there we go. Yeah, what month does, oh, that's great. Somebody is thanking you, Mark. Great. What month does the program commence? We take part-time students all throughout the year, but fall 2022 is September, really. And so
yeah, if you want to
September.
budget your time and your, I guess, your rent expense, right? We typically start in the third week of September. We would love to have you on campus at least 2 weeks in advance of that. So if you just plan on being here, say September 1st, or maybe a few days earlier, maybe a few days later, your rent can start September 1st. There's some events that would happen in the first couple of weeks. International students should be aware that we have a very robust international office. They will have orientation sessions for you. They'll talk to you about the limitations and the, I guess, the capabilities of various F1 visa stipulations. And then from there, we will have our own orientation, as well as, graduate schools in general on campus will have different orientations and different sessions that you can attend just to get up to speed as to what's happening on campus and how you can get involved.
Yep. Thank you, Mark. Let's do the last question. I also just want to say we're getting a lot of questions about questions clarifying WES, and I would say our website has a wealth of information, but also after we conclude this session, you really should email mem@northwestern.edu. I'll put it in the chat too. With any of these kind of really particular questions, you can either find on the website or Lisa here will get back to you and she'll answer all your questions. But Mark, last question. Can you just expand a little bit more about the specific work experience that we really are looking for that would be sort of ideal for a candidate?
Well, we want experience that leverages your STEM background. So I'm sure there's a lot of folks that do maybe a sales internship, or they'll be doing something that's like business analyst role. We want something that's going to be more STEM related. We do count your internships as well as any kind of professional work you've done after graduation. We wanted to add up to as close to 3 years as possible, but a little bit less we've considered. More is okay too. We do want to, we do include entrepreneurial experience. If you've started a business and it's STEM related, that would count as well. So we're not discriminating against the entrepreneur here. Other than that, we want to see progression in your career. So if you've been hired at a certain level, we expect to see either added responsibilities, job title, expansion into, kind of climbing that career ladder. Otherwise, we also want to see that your reference letters tie back to your resume and your experience and the projects you worked on.
Yeah, I agree. That's great. All right, I think everything else has pretty much been answered by Lisa. And yeah, as I said, please reach out to us at mem@northwestern.edu. We would love to have you join our program. Thank you, Mark. Anything else you wanna?
I'm going to mention one more thing. We have a
please
pretty
do.
robust, we're starting to create a pretty robust YouTube channel. So if you want to see some of our faculty in action, if you want to see some of my green energy topics or lectures, as well as some of our events that we've held, including a networking dinner that we held that was online and virtual, I think it was last year. You can go to our YouTube channel, Northwestern MEM, and you should be able to check us out and see what it's like.
I agree. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Okay, take care. Thanks, Mandy. Thanks, Lisa and the crowd. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.